So, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, those in Eretz Yisrael. So, I don't know if you've heard, but there's literally Muhammad going on as we speak. I am in the sealed room, so I'm pretty safe. Yesterday we had a siren, and my little one and my wife were in the Merkaz, had run to a fruit store, and my daughter was with me in my office, and I'm like, I was safer. I think it's more dangerous to have your family with you in close quarters. Get things a little bit more dangerous, by yourself it's not so bad, but Baruch Hashem, we're fine. But we had a few sirens on Shabbos, as you know, and we had one yesterday. So between Shabbos and Thursday, we just heard little booms in the background, I think with the missiles from in Gaza. So yesterday we had a little bit of a taste of what it was like on Shabbos, but we were indoors, so that was that. So it's a little bit unnerving. Some of you know, maybe you don't know. I have two sons that were called up in reserves. I just spoke to both of them, so they're fine, Baruch Hashem. My son, who's the engineer, he's in an area where there's tanks and preparation for different vehicles and things like that. And my other son is near Jordan, so near south of the Dead Sea. So and he's also in a very quiet place. And while they need our tefillos and our davar tefillos, there's more. There's children's kids out there that are more the front lines. My kids are a couple years at least from training, so they're years out of this. But a lot of my neighbors, there's like 40 guys from my shul that they're serving now, and their kids are younger, and they just either finished training or finishing training, and their people are very nervous, as expected. These are 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. They just finished their training, and they're literally at a moment's notice they can go in there. So we definitely need tefillos and the support. If you know somebody, just text. Helps me, and definitely those people that are even more nervous, it's Nechama, and it would help them out as well. So that being said, we should this learning, this little few minutes will be, in zechus. Hopefully we'll get our soldiers, they'll be all safe, and all the people that are sitting in Gaza now, that are captured, that they literally can't even imagine. They're literally hearing all the explosions all night, and I'm sure they're not in safe places. They're kind of put in the front. They're kind of using as shields, and I think about what's going on there. It's just can't even imagine what's going through their minds for a minute. Now it's been 6 days already. So this year, thank God, we get new parsha, new sedra. Turn the page, literally the beginning, and a new sefer. So 2 years of Pri Tzadik. Didn't finish all of it. Very difficult. Got through a good chunk of it. We get to new sefer, nesivos shalom. So nesivos shalom, from Slonim, the Slonim Rebbe. A lot of interesting pieces. I couldn't get through all of them. Maybe each week I'll try to do half of them at least. Maybe in 2 years I'll be able to finish it with my charusa. And the first piece is very interesting. I'm actually going to attach the written part of it. I wrote a piece for the Merkaz, the MDY Daf Yomi. So the first piece, I wrote it down. I'll send that. But one piece I did yesterday was just a brilliant piece that, again, we go through this every year, and we don't really grasp it 100%. Maybe we still don't grasp 100%. But the famous story of Cain and Hevel. We know that the first carbon, everyone always asks that question. The first carbon is Cain, to bring a mincha, to thank Hashem. First recorded carbon, and Hevel's the second one. And Hevel's is accepted, and Cain is not, and this starts the whole operation. This is literally the first sin, because he was jealous of Hevel, and now you have jealousy of kin in the world, and he kills him, so you have a killer in the world. So literally, this is the story that we don't 100% understand. And the question, a lot of questions around the Slonim Rebbe, the Nesivos Shalom says, if he was the first one, Why not do the best? Like, why is taking the worst? Rash says min hagrua. He took from the worst. The flax, he took whatever it was. But you bring a carbon already, just do it the right way. Why take the worst? Why the worst thing? You don't have to do it. He chose to do this. No one said, "Kind, you have to do this." Well, okay, you're tying my hands. Let me take the. Listen, he wanted to do it. He was motivated. Why take the worst? The whole thing is just bizarre. So the nesivos shalom brings a lot of interesting also diukim in the psukim, because Hevel he takes from sono, his sown. Cain just takes mipri hadama. So again, adama means from the ground, and Hevel takes from his sono. It should have said he took from his crops. If you're saying Cain, Hevel took from his sheep, Cain should have taken, or the Torah should have said, from his fields. It doesn't say just adama. So the nesivos shalom wants to say that yes, he took it, and he didn't take the worst, perhaps, but he didn't take anything that was special for him. He didn't take the special, his best oranges, his best grapefruits, his best asparagus. He took stam stuff. So therefore, when the Torah describes his korban, his mincha, is from Adamah, just from the ground. Hevel, on the other hand, took his best. So no, he took what was important to him. Chaviv alav yoter, what was best for him. He had maybe 1,000 animals. He took the one that was the best one. The best ones he took. Therefore, looking at Cain's in perspective, it looked really plain, because Cain just took stuff. Yes, he was the first one to bring it, but he just took regular stuff. Okay, boom, it's growing, carbon, I'm good to go. Hevel spent time to look at his best animals. He took his best one, not stam, his best ones. And we know that that's a big deal. We know that bereshis, the first, is most important. Bereshis, not necessarily the first all the time, but your best one, the ones that's first in your mind, first in your possession. We know that truma is bereshis, bikurim is bereshis, your son, bereshis, pidyon haben. The first one is the most special one, the best ones, and that's the way you kind of approach this. Cain really couldn't care less. He just, okay, it's appropriate to bring a carbon. No one ever did this before. Let me bring something and light it up and bring a present to Hashem. Didn't spend much time into thinking about what it was. And this really ties back a little bit of what we learn in Vayikra. We talk about Adei Yakiv Mikem. The Kli Yakar talks about where it starts off with the carbon of the chatas, the poor people. That's Mikem, from them. A poor person bringing an animal is different than a rich person bringing an animal. A rich person does an avera. Okay, an animal. Okay, shalom, animal, I'm good to go. A poor person, to bring a carbon, has to put some money together and some thought. Because they got to go off work. You got to kind of block off time to go to shalom, bring a carbon, then come back a couple of days right there. Plus, it's expensive. 1,000 shekel for a rich person is a few $100, not that big a deal. But if you don't have that much, you don't make that much money when you're not wealthy, 1,000 shekels is money. Every shekel, they add up. So the chatas of the poor person is greater in some ways than the chatas of a rich person, even though same avera, same animal. And the nesivos shalom brings down the story of Pesach Mekuvrin, the Ram Pesach, the holy Ram Pesach Kuvrin, who says that Musaf, when he'd roll around Shabbos Musaf, he'd be really wild in Shemona Esrei. You really get excited. They ask him because in the Musaf, when he talks about the carbon Musaf of Shabbos, Nasa v'nakriv. He would say it's not just nakriv, not just bring a carbon, but it's nasa. You have to prepare yourself like you are the carbon. You are doing it yourself, not just sending money to somewhere or writing a check for somebody. You have to really be active and think that you are actually part of the kapara, part of the mincha, part of the present. You're doing this with all your kochos, whatever that means, with your kochos, and that gets you into the right mood to bring a carbon. Exactly that. The second part of this piece is the aftermath. So that's why Hashem also turns Hevel el Minchaso. Hashem responded to Hevel and the Mincha. Not just the carbon Hashem accepted Hevel. Hashem accepted him. Why? Because he put his best into the carbon. So the Torah goes out of its way and says he took sono from his best, and then afterwards Hashem turned to Hevel and the Mincha, but Cain Hashem didn't turn to, because it wasn't even the Mincha at that point. It was Cain's attitude himself that he really didn't put much into it, and there's a big difference there. The second part is the aftermath. When Hashem said to the Shais, we have in today's Daf Yomi, if you improve, you'll have good things. If you go bad things will happen. So Tzai Kafel, the whole thing in today's Daf Yomi. But what does that mean? Why is that so important? It's aftermath, and Cain just loses it after this. It just goes downhill. And the point this Shalom Rebbe says is that what takes place after the Chet is really, really important. How do we approach what just took place in the right context? Are we happy? Are we sad? How do we move on from an Aveir? How do we move on from this event? And a line that Shalom Rebbe says, Atzvos ein Aveira. Sadness isn't Aveira. Ach himveya l'kol mitzvos. Haveya l'kol hamitzvos. This actually brings you l'chol Averos. This brings you to all Averos. So sadness isn't Aveira, but it leads you to all Averos. And simcha ain't a mitzvah. Ach himveya l'chol mitzvos. Simcha isn't a mitzvah, but it brings you to mitzvos. And we see Hashem says this to Cain. Okay, you did this, you brought a carbon. It wasn't the best. You could have done a lot better. Granted. But now what do you do from here? Do you now come back to the fold? Do you serve Hashem b'simcha? Maybe the next day bring a better carbon? Do mitzvos, be close to God? Or do you let this be a part of you? My gosh, my brother's carbon was accepted over mine, and I was the first one. That's the worst thing. That's it. I'm done with this. And the Shalom Rebbe brings down the Maran of Milkovitz. I don't know. I got to look that up. Who that is? Who says that a Baal Tshuva that he was in touch with, did an Aveira, and he was very sad over this. And long story short, the person left Judaism. He left. Why? The sadness isn't the way that you want to serve Hashem. Sadness doesn't bring you back to the fold. The opposite. Simcha does. And he's saying that if you are following Hashem, you're doing tshuva, you want to, after the Aveira, you want to have a positive aspect to get you back to Hashem, serving b'simcha. That's literally how you do the serving b'simcha. And the Shalom Rebbe says this is exactly what Cain gets presented. You have a choice now. You're sitting literally at the precipice. You're really at the moment. Your brother's carbon was accepted. Yours was not. What are you going to do now? Are you going to now be jealous? Are you going to do horrible things? Or are you just going to let this hatred and this sinna and this kinna become part of you and lead to horrible things? And unfortunately, that's what happens. And this is a lesson that we have. The way we approach things, the way we give tzedakah. And even if we do an Aveira, chas v'shalom, we do an Aveira, do we let this just drag us down? Do we let this be part of us? Or do we say, you know what? We have to do tshuva, we have to move on, and we continue to serve b'simcha. We have actually, interestingly enough, in today's Rambam Yomi, talks about serving b'simcha. We just finished Sukkot, supposed to be really happy, and brings the story of David HaMelech. David HaMelech is dancing and laughing in front of the Torah, the Aron, and Michal's, boy, that's really inappropriate. And David says, no, this is the biggest the biggest thing you can do is dance in front of Hashem. And if you hold yourself back of kavod because of too importance, the Rambam calls you a shota. The Rebbe calls you a chota and a shota. He calls you a shota, a fool. You think you have kavod in the world? It's really from Hashem. And if you can bring a little bit of light and a little bit of Kiddush Hashem into the world, that's the greatest thing you could do. And hopefully, all my people, my friends and family in America can bring Kiddush Hashem. Those gatherings in America, if it's a Hillim, and that's what we can do, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Facebook, try to spread the message, try to share good videos and things like that. There's a news embargo, so we don't really see too much, unfortunately, but we do see a lot of the videos and things that come out from America. So it brings Lizik to me personally. I appreciate that. People sending things. I don't see all of them, but it's good to know that there's support, and it means a lot to me. If you know people that have kids that are close to the front lines, just a quick text or something also I know helps them. And hopefully we have a quiet Shabbos. Hopefully we hear some good news. Hopefully they do what they have to do, and with no casualties, and hopefully the captives are let back. And Zat Hashem, next time we speak, we'll have some really some better news. Shabbat shalom.